What's up, YouTube? Kane9 here. So, got kind of late last night, so I couldn't do season 5, episode 0, or I'm sorry, season 0, episode 5 review. So I'm doing it this morning, and thankfully I wrote it down. Um, so yeah. Alright, guys, part 5, Yugi's Secret. So basically, a mummy is found and excavated, and everyone goes to check it out because there's this Egyptian display going on, and they excavated a mummy and some of his artifacts from the Valley of the Kings in Egypt. Uh, Alright, so they all go to check it out, and Honda, who's Tristan in the English anime, thinks that if he goes, because everyone's still unsure about it. They're like, well, this is a display in town, we can go check it out. And Honda's like, well, I don't know. But then he starts thinking, you know, if if Miho goes, she'll get scared and she'll jump into Tristan's arms, or Honda's. And so she's like, okay, yeah, sure, we can go. So he's all excited about it. So he thinks he'll get closer, and of course, he thinks Miho will be scared. And it's kind of funny because Joey's actually really afraid of him, which is like weird because in the anime he freaks out like a couple times. So anyway, so they go, and Yugi goes there, and he talks to the curator. Basically, well, the curator and the guy who's setting up the display, because his grandpa is friends with the guy. So they go there, and the guy setting everything up on display, basically, is like, "Wow, is that really in the Millennium Puzzle?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you mind if I borrow it so I can put it on display?" And he's like, I guess, because you're my grandpa's friend. So basically, the guy borrows it, and Yugi's like, you know what? I'll get it tonight. As soon as the museum display's over, I'll get it back. We'll be good. So he waits around, and finally it's over, and he goes to go get it. But of course, the guy that has it, he's also a bit of a thief. Where he's like, yes, I finally have it. And he tries to undersell it. He tries to sell it from under Yugi. Okay. So basically, while he's doing this, you see a character coming into play, and it's called Shady. And he's a grave protector, grave guardian for the pharaohs. Him and his family lineage, I think he's like the 125th. So, basically, he comes into play, and in the very beginning, he comes off a plane, and he's just walking through the crowds, and he actually talks to young Yugi in the museum. And Yugi's like, wow, this guy's kind of weird, because he carries a scale with him, the Millennium Scale, and a rod with him, the Millennium Rod. Um, so So he's around in the museum. Now the guy trying to sell Yugi's puzzle, he hears a knock at the door and he's like, "Who is it?" And he hears that it's his partner. He's like, "Okay, yeah, come in, come in." And the guy just falls. Basically, he opens the door and just falls down, right? And Shady walks in, and Shady tells him, he's like, "What are you doing with the Millennium Puzzle?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just on exhibit here. He's trying to play the Fool card." And he's like, "Okay." And so he basically pulls out his Millennium Scale and his Feather of Truth, and he's like, I know you're lying to me. I know you're not truthful. I know you're a bad man. So basically, he judges him with his scale. He's like, for every sin, he's like, basically he's weighing the feather against all his sins in his heart and his mind is full of nothing but greed. And yeah, I'll let you watch the episode because it's a lot better than what I'm telling. But basically, he judges him, and as his judgment, a beast out of his mind, basically, I guess, eats his mind, so he kind of loses it. So yeah. So he basically tells him how evil his soul is, and he makes him lose his mind. So as Shady's leaving, he sees the Millennium Puzzle, and he sees that it's Yugi's. And he's already grabbed the puzzle. He's walking out, and Yugi walks up to him, and he's like, "What are you doing with my puzzle?" And the guy's like, "This is yours." And he's dumbfounded that a young kid could solve this ancient Egyptian puzzle. So using his Millennium Key, he goes into Yugi's mind, and there he finds the Pharaoh. So the Pharaoh tells him, "We're gonna play a game." Basically, and the game is he has to just open doors till he finds the Pharaohs, and Shady being kind of shady, honestly. Uh, he's like, I do have special powers. I can manipulate and change, and I can even kill your personality if I want to. And the Pharaoh's like, so this should be easy for you then. And Shady's like, okay, well, I guess we can start. And the Pharaoh's like, okay, let's start. And basically, he just lights up the room, and it's just like room after room after room. It's just countless. It's just a giant puzzle of rooms. So the Pharaoh starts his game, and as Shady's going through the rooms, he finds out that they're booby trapped. Giant stones, giant pillars, uh, torrents of water, giant flamethrowers, things like that. And he can't find his way. So he's just going room to room to room until he finds a specially marked room. And it's got like the giant Millennium Eye and some hieroglyphics and stuff on it. And he opens it, and he sees the Pharaoh just sitting there. So Shady, thinking he's won the game, starts walking towards him. And as he's walking towards him, he realizes that it's not him, it's an illusion. And just as he realizes that, the floor starts falling out from underneath him. Another booby trap. And he catches himself on like one brick as he's falling down, which is kind of unrealistic, but whatever. It's a cartoon, I'll give it that. Um, and the Pharaoh starts talking to him, and he's like, "Here, take my hand." And Shady's unsure because he's like, "This is still a game. If he wants to, he can still cast me into the darkness. I'll fall, and I will get stuck into his mind, and I'll never leave." So the Pharaoh gives him his hand to help, and Shady's unsure. He can either take the Pharaoh's hand, and possibly it could be a trap, or trust the Pharaoh and lose the game. So he lets the Pharaoh save him, and he tells him, "I guess this means I've lost." And the Pharaoh says, "No, this is only the beginning." So he did lose, just saying this is just the beginning of their adventure, of them meeting and them talking and stuff. So Shady leaves the mine, and he starts, as soon as he gets out of the mine, young Yugi's like, "Are you okay? You've just been sitting there, staring at me for a minute." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he starts talking to Yugi real quick, and he's like, "How does the Millennium Puzzle work with this boy? How does it work?" Because he doesn't sense the same complex complexity. Yeah, he doesn't sense the same complexity from the Pharaoh's spirit as he does from the boy's, because the boy's just young. He's simple. And he tells Yugi that he doesn't know or understand how the Pharaoh talks to him or how the Pharaoh communicates with him, but the Pharaoh is in the puzzle, but he doesn't tell Yugi this. And he tells Yugi about his other side, and Yugi's like, "Other side? What are you talking about?" Because, he's trying to play it off. Or maybe he just doesn't understand. He's still young and naive. So Shady's like, "We will meet again." And young Yugi's just like, "That's what a weird guy. Okay, whatever, I guess." So Shady leaves, kind of distraught, but wanting to know the true power of the Millennium Puzzle and how the boy uses it. And you just see Shady walking away, and he's like, "My name is Shady, by the way, and you're the first stranger I've ever told that to in this country." And he just walks away. And that's how it ends. And that is Season 0, Episode 5 review for you guys. That'll be it for now. I'll probably try to do these once a week, because I know I do have a sub that likes these things, so that'll be for her. Alright guys, King Two Liners, out.